Welcome to Extraterrestrial Reality. Today I have a special guest joining me, Shannon Scott of YouTube channel Military Witnesses to UAP. And he's going to help. We're going to talk about some things here tonight about the recent article that was featured in the Calgary Herald about Robert Salas, as you remember, who was somebody who was one of the witnesses at Malmstrom Air Force Base back in 1967. And also Dr. Bob Jacobs, who was shown footage of a UFO shooting down a warhead back in 1964. And they've been getting interviewed by the AARO office, the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office. And I guess, it's a good thing that, people are finally taking them seriously. I do have some questions, though. I mean, these guys were told to be quiet about what they saw and what they experienced back in the 60s. And now, you have to wonder where did that information go? Who was looking at that for the government secretly? I guess that's one of the questions I have with that. I mean, it's nice that we have this AARO office, which reports to the Congress. That's good. I mean, that's a good thing. But at the same time, we still have there's still the cloak of secrecy ongoing here. So I guess that's the one concern that I have with that. But hey, it's a good thing. It is a good thing that this is something that people in Congress are going to hear about and learn about. It's about time. It's only since the 1960s. I mean, I wasn't even born yet. So. Yeah. It's ridiculous. These guys are still around, and they're happy to talk about it with AARO, and we'll see what happens in the future. I don't know. What do you think, Shannon?
I think I go back to what Lou said. At the end of the day, the truth will come out. It's coming out.
Yeah, I think that's the truth. There's nothing lasts forever. That's the one thing. There's nothing in this world that lasts forever. It just doesn't matter. At some point, things come to an end, and this cover up is going to come to an end at some point. There's no doubt about it. Anyway, I'm going to go through this article here, Shannon, and we'll stop and see what these guys have to say. Let me see here how I'm going to do this. Yeah, we'll go like this. Okay, it says here that we'll start it off here. It says nearly 6 decades after seminal Montana UFO incidents, Air Force vets brief Pentagon. And this was an article that appeared just a couple of days ago on the Calgary Herald. And it says here, on the night of March 24th, 1967, Robert Salas was a 26-year-old U.S. Air Force lieutenant cocooned 20 meters below the Montana prairie, overseeing weaponry that could obliterate millions.
Yeah.
I felt we were under attack, said Salas in a phone interview from his home near Ventura, California. But the assailants, he said, weren't any Cold War foes. Soviet technology couldn't have abruptly disabled the missile's guidance and control systems, which is what happened that night. You would have to have sent individual signals to each missile, and within seconds, we had no power, said Salas, 82. This had never happened before, and we have nothing that could do that now. Salas said what transpired above his concrete and steel bunker holds the answer, or at least one of them. And this is what he's talking. This is what they saw there that night. It says an oval-shaped form with a glowing light spotted. Just moments before the system's failure, a non-commissioned security officer on the surface made a series of increasingly frenzied phone calls to Salas, describing an oval-shaped form within, pulsating, glowing orange-red lights hovering over the installation. The NCO had also described the approach of the silent object, which was making unusual controlled maneuvers, such as flying very fast, coming to a dead stop, then reversing course and making 90-degree turns, said Salas, who was locked into the subterranean capsule for security reasons. He was screaming in the phone, terrified. I told him to secure the facility at all costs. Responding to his orders, other security guards scrambled to other launch sites in the complex, only to see glowing objects hovering over them, said Salas. It was reported they lost radio contact with the flight security controller and were very shaken by the experience, he said. Less than a minute after the pulsating object had arrived over his launch control center, it had quickly departed, said the U.S. Air Force veteran. The dumbfounded officer soon found himself in a meeting with his squadron commander and a special investigations officer and was told the incident didn't involve any kind of Air Force exercise. Now, just to stop there for a second. Now, obviously, this is not something of this earth. Obviously, I mean, obviously, whatever this object was that was able to do something like that was not from something that was sent from the Soviets. It was obviously not something that was sent over by China. There's nothing out there. There's nobody out there, not even in the United States, that would have had those kind of abilities back in the 60s. And I don't think that anybody has those kind of abilities right now, quite frankly. What do you think? I just don't see it.
When it comes to Salas, when it comes to an individual who has spoken out about an incident more often than I can count, how many times did he go in front of the press congressional the press club in Washington? How many times has he been there? How many times has this man been on TV or somewhere and had an audience and told his story over and over? And to me, it just doesn't go anywhere, right? But now people are starting to listen, I think.
Yeah. I mean, they're just starting to listen. I mean, and that's, I mean, but again, I mean, to me, I mean, at the time, I mean, what else? I mean, I guess I don't understand how it's that many years ago now. That's well over 50 years now. We're looking at 55 years ago, 56 years basically, and we're still playing this game. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely, it's absurd.
It is.
Anyway, I'm going to continue with this article here. He says it says Salas said he was also told to never speak of the incident as it was now classified. I signed a non-disclosure agreement. I didn't start talking about it until 1996, he said. He recalls at that time in 1967, his colleague, Colonel Fred Mewald, telling him there been an earlier similar incident at Malmstrom, but only discovered decades later it had occurred just 8 days before his own experience. He also learned 10 ICBMs had been disabled under identical circumstances in September 1966 at the Minot Air Force Base in North Dakota. Within a span of 6 months, we lost 30 nuclear missiles to UFOs, said Salas, who provided an Air Force document declassified in 1996 regarding the March 16th incident at Malmstrom, east of Great Falls. The March 17th, 1967 communication contains clear expressions of alarm and bewilderment. All 10 missiles in Echo flight at Malmstrom lost strategic alert within 10 seconds of each other, it reads. The fact that no apparent reason for the loss of 10 missiles can be readily identified is cause for grave concerns at this headquarters. Yeah. Now, I just want to stop there for a second. Now, of course, the other thing here is what does this say? What does this say? I mean, to me, I mean, this is a clear message, I believe. I mean, if you look at those incidents there and you look at some of the other things that have happened throughout the decades, like the incident at Ariel School, for instance, I mean, where aliens show up and communicate telepathically to some children. There was over 60 children that saw a flying saucer land and alien creatures stepping out of it. Yeah. And then some of them communicate and give them messages of impending doom and destruction, basically, because of our technology. And then you have incidents like this. I mean, I think that the message is that they don't like us having nuclear weapons. I mean, I think that's the message that we're getting relayed here. I mean, it seems obvious to me.
Yeah, Jim, that's one of the theories that Rob and I brought up was these craft. Hold on one second. My dogs are over here doing stuff they shouldn't be doing. My wife's taking care of them. Okay. What were we talking about? My apologies.
Yeah, we're talking about what the message here is. I think that the message is that they're trying to send a message out.
That's right, Rob. Now, here comes the puppies. Oh my gosh. They're getting, by the way, I got a new puppy. I don't know. Have you seen the puppy, right? You seen my big dog?
I seen the pictures. You've been sending me images.
Seen the puppy. Right. Well, give me 1 second. I'm going to change the subject, folks. But there's my big boy. And right over there, I don't know if y'all can see her, but there's Leia. They just got in from being outside. So, okay. Rob and I have come up with the theory that it's a question. In this, hold on. There she is.
Oh, there's another doggy.
Yeah.
We're awesome. We're seeing doggies here. Yeah.
Yeah. She's I'll be able to get to my point sometime today. Um, the point I was trying to make is that Rob and I we do a lot of brainstorming, and one of the questions that we brought up was, well, if they have the capability of doing this and they do that, and I really think the only solution to the nuclear problem would be a Superman, the Superman Quest for Peace movie with Christopher Reeve. That the only way we can get rid of these nukes is from a third party. We will never give up our nukes, and I understand.
We lost Shannon. Looks like we lost Shannon. We'll have to take a break there. Yep.
Yeah, there you are.
Okay.
So the point I'm trying to make is that if these crafts have the ability to do what they've already done, theoretically, they can make maybe they can make these warheads inert before they even launch. In other words, is it possible they've already done it? Have you thought about that? When was the last time America or Russia has detonated a nuclear device? Well, it's underground. You think about it. Wouldn't that be interesting to find out at the end of the day that all our as they say, our golden jewels, they've been in, they're lead. They're pieces of lead. They're worthless pieces of technology that they rendered useless. Now, that would be cool. That's an awesome theory Rob and I came up with. Mostly Rob. But
yeah, I mean, but here's the thing. Now you still have other countries out there, like we know that North Korea tested some nuclear weapon.
Yeah.
I mean,
are they testing?
We're losing Shannon again. Sorry about that, folks. We lost Shannon again temporarily. Hopefully he comes back again. He must have a bad connection tonight or something. Yep, he's gone. We'll see if he comes back. Anyway, yeah, I believe what my point of this whole thing is that I think that we are, we are engaged. They're here and they're trying to send us a message. That's what it seems very obvious. And anyway, we're going to go through this. We're going to go back to the article here for a second and see what else it says here. Okay, it says here, official discussion of UAP facilitated at U.S. forms new office. During his remaining 2 years on missile duty at Malmstrom, Salas said he never once heard the incidents mentioned, but added he rebuffed security officer witnesses' agitated pleas to discuss March 24th soon after it happened, out of fear of breaching an order. But with the release in recent years of U.S. Navy videos of pilots' encounters with UAP and a trickle of other evidence, the taboo has thawed, and last year the United States Department of Defense created the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, or AARO, which Salas describes as a conduit for whistleblowers. The mission of the AARO will be to synchronize efforts across the Department of Defense and with other U.S. federal departments and agencies to detect, identify, and attribute objects of interest in, on, or near military installations, operating areas, training areas, special use airspace, and other areas of interest, and as necessary to mitigate any associated threats to safety of operations and national security, states a July 20th, 2022 press release. And of course, this includes anomalous, unidentified space, airborne, submerged, and transmedium objects. Okay, let's check back with see. Okay, here he's back again. He's back.
Sorry about that. It must have been my internet.
Yeah, the internet, sometimes you never know. I mean, I have problems with that myself sometimes. There's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, I'm using my cell phone today, but I turned off the LTE, whatever, so it doesn't go to that. It just uses the Wi-Fi here. So hopefully we won't have that issue anymore.
Well, I'm just going to read a little bit more of this article here, and then we'll talk about what it says.
All right.
It says on February 15th, Salas said for nearly 2 hours he was briefed he briefed by phone an AARO official on his 1967 experience in what he called a watershed moment. He's convinced the military and government has covered up incidents it's known of all along. It's a milestone for me because I have never told my story to a government office, he said, adding the AARO official seemed receptive and appreciative. I went through all the details extensively. It shows they're at least open to listening to witnesses and making an official record of what we say. Salas said he provided AARO with 22 pieces of documentary evidence, including written notes and video. Affidavits signed by several other officers 13 years ago attest to the occurrences of at Minot and in Montana, which extended over months and whose frequency even necessitated special UFO briefings. Patrick McDonough was an airman first class doing surveying work at launch sites in Malmstrom in September 1966 when he says a brilliantly lit craft 20 meters in diameter hovered about 100 meters above them. It seemed to have pulsating lights going around it and a white light from the center looking down into the silo. There was no wind, no noise, he told the National Press Club in Washington, D.C. in September 2010. From this dead stop, it shoots off to the east, just like now you see it, now you don't. A police officer his team encountered soon after the sighting, he said, told him there had been more than 20 UFO sightings reports in that area that night. Okay, now, again, where did it go? Okay, they're told to shut up about it back then. So where did it? I mean, but what's been going on behind the scenes about this all these years? That's what I'd like to know. Like, what's been going on behind the scenes? I mean, they have to know a lot. I mean, I guess here's my problem with this whole scenario here. It's great that Salas is coming forward and telling his story. It's about time somebody in the government listens to him. But the government, people in the government knew about this way back in the 60s, way before we were even born. So, I mean, this is unbelievable. I'm going to be 55 this year. And this is before I was born. And so they have to know something, right? I mean, that's just absolutely absurd. I mean, why are we I guess this is my problem when I see this. I mean, I'm happy about it, but at the same respect, it's like, you mean they haven't been looking at this in secret for all these years? That's my issue with this whole thing.
Yeah. I had a great point, but I lost it. You're okay. Here's the point I was going to make. I've been doing research on this craft, and I know what it looks like and stuff like that. The same, I believe, my opinion, I believe the same craft that was involved in these incidents is the same one. Not too long ago, was right off the port and starboard bow of the Ronald Reagan during flight ops. That report came out, I think late last year, I believe that. And then I also did research early last year, that it's the same. I believe it's also the same craft that was above the USS John F. Kennedy in 1971. The way that people describe it, it's the same. It sounds like it's the same craft.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, to me, it just seems like it's, it could be. I mean, that's what you're saying is, could be, but I guess my whole issue is like they're being told to shut up. There's some people in a government that come up to them and say, hey, you're signing this non-disclosure agreement. You're not allowed to talk about this. And this is back in 1967. So what's been going on behind the scenes all these years? I guess that's my big issue.
I can tell you one thing. When the people tell them that not to say anything, they're the same people that they're told to tell their people not to say anything too. So they go right down the chain of command. It's not like Men in Black show up and make me sign a non-disclosure. They pass some. I'm not saying it happens in every case, but I'm sure it happens quite often where they tell a chain of command that this individual needs to sign a non-disclosure agreement about an incident that happened on a certain date at a certain time.
Yeah. Okay, let's go back to this article a little bit and see what else it says. It says here's a headline. It says, my mind was blown. I didn't believe in UFOs when I was growing up. And this is the Salas continuing it here. It says, the day before Salas spoke to AARO, U.S. Air Force veteran Dr. Bob Jacobs shared with the office his recollections of September 14th, 1964, the day he said he viewed the film of a UAP shooting down a warhead off the coast of California. I've been trying for 40 years to get the government to listen to me, and the AARO official said, now you are, said Jacobs of the nearly 3-hour telephone briefing. I was not interrupted. He only asked me to not name names, and I didn't. What he did tell AARO is how he operated an experimental photo project capturing the trajectory of an Atlas D using an extremely powerful telescope and high-resolution camera. A few days after the launch at Vandenberg Air Force Base, Jacob said he was summoned to a meeting attended by his military superior and two men in gray suits and viewed a 16-millimeter copy of the original 35-millimeter film of the missile's journey. In it, a saucer-like craft appeared near the missile's dummy nuclear warhead, traveling up to 9,000 miles per hour at the edge of space, and hit it 4 times with some kind of beam, toppling it into the ocean below, he said. When I saw it, my mind was blown. I didn't believe in UFOs when I was growing up, said the retired first lieutenant from his home in southern Missouri. UFOs are real. At the meeting, the Air Force veteran said he was asked if he and his colleagues had doctored the film, a suggestion he vehemently denied. I said, it looks like we've got a UFO, and was told you're never to say that again. This never happened. He's convinced the original film and its print were destroyed, adding he was mysteriously harassed, even violently, after first publicly speaking about the episode in the early 1980s. He's lost teaching jobs for speaking out, he says, but doesn't regret doing so. Okay, let's just stop there for a second again. Again, we have this kind of nonsense going on where people, say something about you never to talk about it, but then somebody, they can't help themselves. It's just they see that years go by, and when he finally says, "You know what? I'm telling people I don't care. This is too big. Why are we not talking about this?" Mm-hmm. And then they come out and then they lose their jobs and then they get harassed and who knows what else was going on.
Yeah,
it's terrible. It's terrible what happens to people.
Yeah. Yeah, and especially the ones our airmen and sailors, whoever they get injured by these things, and not only do they have to do this non-disclosure agreement stuff, but they have to live with the health effects. Apparently, from Dr. Gary Nolan, they're quite substantial.
Okay, how am I coming through there, Shannon? Was I breaking up at all?
No, you're crystal clear.
Okay, because it looked like I was stuttering a little bit on there. Anyway, just want to make sure. Anyway, so yeah, I mean, I'm not happy about this. Again, I mean, hearing this story, it just turns my stomach. I mean, my stomach is turned when I hear guys like this who are serving in our military who basically get threatened over things that they see, and then decades go on, and then they finally come out and say something, and then they're basically threatened, harassed, they lose their jobs. I mean, someone like, for instance, Jesse Marcel Sr., he was retired. He was very sickly when he finally, told the public. So I don't think he really had much to worry about at that point, and I don't think he cared anyway. But again, these other people, for all these years, try to tell people what's been going on, but yet again, like, okay, AARO gets this information. They collected this information. These guys finally have someone to talk to within the government to tell their stories, right? Instead of being told to shut up about it. And then that information gets brought to the Congress, and that's all fine and dandy. But again, what happened to the studies before? Like, what were they doing in the past? That's my big question. This is the whole problem I have with a lot of this, what's going on right now. I mean, I'm glad about it, but at the same time, who are the gatekeepers? Who are these people? Like when you read things like the Wilson Davis memo, apparently it seems like it's mostly controlled by the military industrial complex, by the weapons manufacturers. It's very upsetting.
Yeah. Just out of curiosity, did you see not the latest from Richard Dolan, but the one before the one he put out on YouTube, talking about there's been 3 people in history that uncovered this program, and he goes over the when it happened and who it happened to. It's amazing.
Yes, yeah, it was very good. Yeah, Richard Dolan's, for anybody out there who's watching this channel, should most certainly be watching Richard Dolan's YouTube channel and also podcast. He is great stuff. I mean, that guy there is somebody that's very serious researcher. I mean, his books are amazing, and his podcasts are always dynamite. I mean, I always get a lot of great information in his podcast and his YouTube channel. Like, I highly respect his research. I mean, anybody, again, like the people in the press, again, we're just playing we're playing a game called let's be really stupid. I think that's what this is. When it comes to the UFO subject, for all these decades, we're playing a game called let's be really stupid. And the media, they act really dumb about it. They don't question anything. The Pentagon pretends everybody's really a bunch of ignorant jackasses, basically, and we just move on and everyone pretends it's not real. But then there's a whole bunch of people out there, including myself, who actually see these things, experience them, and then there's people in the military who see them and experience them, and they're told to keep their mouth shut, or maybe who knows what might happen to you. And that's how it's been going on. Now it's starting to loosen up a little bit because of things with like Lou Elizondo, ever since 2017, since he came out of the shadows. And those videos were leaked. It seems like we've been on a different trajectory with this, but still, we're 6 years out from that now, almost since that started, and I'm not satisfied. I'm still not satisfied. And by the way, what's going on with Lou these days? I knew you're friends with Lou Elizondo. I mean, has he?
Yeah, I would just say this. He's been extremely busy. I tweeted it out today. I have to force myself to tweet sometimes because I don't think I do it enough. But today I was throwing all my photos up there, and then when it comes to people working hard in the background, he's definitely one of those people who is working very hard. He is the grease to the squeaky wheel, you might say. He's been busting his ass. A lot more than people would think. If you ever met someone who was a workaholic and you think they needed a vacation, I think Lou needs some time. In fact, the guy has worked so hard, I think he should take the rest of his life off as soon as he gets done what he wants to get done. The book's coming out. Hopefully he'll allow us to put out some more information about that soon. Everybody's interested in his book and other projects that he's got his hands in everything. So yeah, he's busy.
Okay, let's go look at some of the comments here from some people since they been chiming in here while we've been talking. It says here, Jesse was, "What's up, Quirk Zone? Not much, just talking UFOs like usual." Thinking about UFOs like usual.
Hey, Jim, I gotta ask you a question. Did you ever think you'd be doing what you're doing today?
I don't know. I don't think so. I guess
I don't think so either.
Yeah, I think what happened was basically how this happened for me. I guess, it started when I was, I guess, a couple years ago in the middle of COVID. I've always been, interested in UFOs, but I see things on TV and I see how the media handles it. And I was laid off at the time. I was like, I'm going to start my own my own podcast. I'm going to just see what happens, because I felt like there was things that needed to be said by people that just weren't being said, and that's why I started it, because I feel like there's some things that seem like common sense a lot of times, but not anybody, a lot of people don't talk about it. It seems like there was a certain, everyone's, I don't like the way people are nice about this a lot of times. A lot of people, it seemed to me, not everybody, but there was a lot of people in the UFO community. They just basically a lot of times it seems to me like they allowed debunkers to kick them all over the place sometimes. And it just bothered me. It's like, wait, why don't you just say this, or this instead? And I felt like there was messages that weren't, and points of view that weren't being made with regard to this. And on top of it, I felt like, I had my own experience. I know for a fact it's real,
Oh yeah.
Let's see what else some people were saying. Now I've noticed that there's some comments that show up on the screen here, but not in the feed here for some reason. For instance, there's Vapid Engage has responded. He says, he talked about Robert Jacobs. He was talking about earlier about the ICBM, and then we did talk about that.
Yeah.
But then later on, he says he thinks with Robert Jacobs, he says it wasn't a live warhead, and that's why I believe the Robert Jacobs UFO wasn't alien, but a test by our own people. Boy, I don't know about that. I mean, I'm not
only
sure.
If it's a reproduction vehicle.
I mean, well, here's the thing. I mean, the way what he described, he was pretty certain. In fact, there's more of this article we can go through. I'm certain that there was comments that they believe it was alien. What he saw, I just don't know. To what he described, I mean, it was flying rings around and then
Yeah,
stopping
it
and
doesn't
sending
matter
out
if it's
beams.
alien or not. What happened? What people should be shocked is that there's technology out there that we would like to get our hands on that runs circles around our something going Mach 5. That's hypersonic, and it's doing circles around hypersonic. Come on.
Well, I guess here's another thing, when you really think about this. Okay, if we had the technology like this to be able to go like they exhibited at Malmstrom, right, where they basically shut down all the nuclear missiles, right? If we had technology like that, we'd be able to take over the world. We'd be able to, okay, guess what? We're going to fly all over Russia. We're going to shut down all their nuclear missiles and then say, look, if you don't give up right now and we'll blow you to kingdom come. I mean, that's basically what we would be able to do. It. I mean, when people talk about, that's another thing that gets missed a lot of times. Like we talk about reverse engineering, and I'm guilty of this too. Reverse engineering, I believe it's more than just reverse engineering recovered technology. I think it would be, you'd want to try to figure out exactly how they're capable of doing some of these things. Like not just, I mean, how do you shut human beings down when you're doing an abduction? How do you make them forget? How do you walk through walls? I mean, there's a whole bunch of different things that go along with it. It's not just, flying in these craft that make no sound. And
Jim, one of the things I thought about this exact same thing. How do they do this? I come to the conclusion that these people, whoever they are, these folks, they are masters at putting people to. They're anesthesiologists, experts. So if we ever communicate with them, they could probably teach us how they do it, and we can do things better. Because I was a surgical tech once upon a time. So yeah, anesthesiology is important, and these people, whoever they are, they can do this from a distance, apparently.
Yeah. I mean, they don't even have to. I mean, how were they able to shut those missiles down? I mean, that's insane.
Yeah.
Okay, here's another comment from Oreste Fofak. It says the craziest thing about UFOs is that the more the events documented and of gravity, the less the people know about them. I don't know. I don't know. Make it up. I guess what he means here is, okay, the craziest thing about UFOs is that the more the events are documented and of gravity, the less the people know about them. I don't know. I guess what he's saying is the more they're documented, the less we know. I don't know. Yeah. Let's see what else is being said here.
That happens to me all the time when I'm doing a voice dictation. It screws up by almost every time. So
yeah, I don't know. I mean, to me, again, the whole issue is I'm glad that these things are happening. I'm glad that there's some sort of basically there is something going on more than ever before, basically, really, when you think about it. I mean, a lot of people forget what it was like pre-2017. I don't forget it. I mean, it was hard to talk about this. It was hard to, because people would just say, hey, the government, you're the one who's crazy. The government would have told us, and then, no, they wouldn't have. I mean, anybody who did research on this would know this, but again, this is bringing it to light, and people need to educate themselves better on this. I mean, all the people who are watching podcasts like ours and video channels, like YouTube channels like ours, they know, but it's everybody else, trying to get everybody else on board. I think that's one of the things. I'm going to go through the rest of this article here. Finish it off. It says here, Pentagon reviewing phenomenon dating back to 1945. When asked by Post Media why the United States government is now interested in its veterans' recollections and what will be done with them, a Pentagon spokeswoman said they've been directed to review the phenomenon from January 1st, 1945 to the present. This review includes oral history interviews, open source analysis, interviews with current and former U.S. government officials, review of national archives and records, and other relevant sources, Susan Goh said in an email. AARO is committed to pursuing all viable leads to ensure a thorough and comprehensive historical review. Okay, let me just stop there for a second. Okay, now the problem I have with this, they're instructed to do these things, but there has to be already something there. I mean, why are we going through all these motions? Again, it comes back to that. There had to be an investigation conducted secretly. There has to be. There had to be. There's either, whatever it's called, Majestic 12, who knows, right? But there has to be a secret control group behind the scenes that's been looking at this. Why play this game? Why do we have to play this stupid game when there's already the information? There has to be something hidden about this that they're not showing us. And that's what bothers me about all of this.
There's always been a control group. There's always been people looking into it. There's never been a time where they go, this UFO thing, there's nothing to it. You know, pack it up. We're done. No.
No way. No way. There's no way. All right, I'm going to read some of the rest of this article here. It says a heightened willingness to confront the phenomenon isn't confined to the United States. A year ago, after receiving decades of reports of drone or UAP sightings over Canadian nuclear power installations in several provinces, Manitoba MP Larry Maguire asked Deputy Minister of Natural Resources John Hannaford if he was aware of them. Hannaford told the Standing Committee on Natural Resources he wasn't, but that I can say overall security of our nuclear facilities is obviously of extraordinary importance. Yeah. He also told the committee he'd certainly take under advisement Maguire's suggestion that Atomic Energy of Canada consult with its American counterpart over its similar experiences with UAP. In a subsequent letter to Hannaford, Maguire said encounters with UAP have been reported through normal Canadian Armed Forces channels. However, no information or investigative efforts or conclusions has ever been made public. In June 2021, then Defense Minister Harit Sajan was reportedly briefed on the issue. Well, again, when they say stuff like they're going to take it under advisement, that means they're not going to do anything with it. That's what that phrase always meant. Anyway, continuing with this article, it says, as for the United States military videos that have gone viral in recent years, skeptics have dismissed them as optical illusions amplified by distance and other factors. A long-awaited report issued by the Pentagon in June 2021 was unable to give an explanation for many of the UAP encounters with its naval airmen over nearly 2 decades. But both men said, Salas and Jacobs said it's telling that governments find they can't ignore the issue and are adamant their experiences are proof Earth is being visited. Those were extraterrestrial objects. There's no doubt in my mind because of what they did, said Salas, who'd like to see the briefings be a catalyst for congressional hearings. And Jacobs and Salas said the visitors' focus on humanity's nuclear capability is likely meant as a warning and one more relevant than ever given global tensions heightened by the war in Ukraine. It's a shot across the bow, said Jacobs. So there you go. That's the end of the article. Now, Jacobs, of course, now he believes what he saw. He believes it's extraterrestrial. I've seen this guy in multiple different interviews over the years. He thinks it's extraterrestrials. Salas thinks it's extraterrestrials. I mean, what else could it be? I mean, it's like obvious. Again, people want to play the game of let's be stupid. Let's all be really stupid and pretend we don't know what it is.
Yeah.
You go first. It's like a game. We should make like a Monopoly board version of it. Let's be really stupid about UFOs. Who could come up with the dumbest excuse about what the alien encounters are? Like, let's say that the aerial school kids, the winner of the game will be the one who comes up with the traveling puppeteer troupe as an explanation for the aerial school incident. That's where I'm at with it. I'm just, again, it's very frustrating. I'm very frustrated with this whole thing, and again, I'm happy about this. At the same time, I'm still frustrated because it's like we're just being dumb. We're just a lot. I mean, and there's nothing really. I mean, this is good in a way, but it's because something. It's something. It's better than nothing. But it's almost starting to feel like is this Project Blue Book Part 2, maybe, or is it something better? What's your feeling?
I believe during Project Blue Book, that was the cover program. There was actually a classified program that was mirroring that one, that was actually doing the real work rather than trying to excuse everything under the sun.
Yeah.
As a public relations issue, the Air Force was using Dr. Heimlich, that was his name, using him as a public relations, just squash everything.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just again, I see this as obviously I think what the message, here's the bottom line. This is what I think is going on. There's regardless of what anybody thinks, I believe that what happened at Malmstrom was most certainly extraterrestrial. There's no doubt about it. I strongly suspect that what happened with Jacobs' film that he saw, I believe that was a demonstration by extraterrestrials.
Yeah.
I know there's some people who think otherwise, but that's my belief. Doesn't make me right. I believe that was a demonstration. I believe the Malmstrom incident was a demonstration. I believe the Ariel school incident, among other incidents that were very similar, there were some other incidents like this. I think that was a warning. What they're going to do, I guess my the way I see it, I think if they're looking at us and they're seeing what we're doing with nuclear weapons. I mean, look what we do. I mean, look at the news every day, just what we do to each other on a
Yeah.
it's just, I'm not going to get into that right now, but I'm sure everybody out there knows what I'm talking about. It's a never ending nightmare. Okay. You can't go anywhere anymore. Basically, you can't, nobody's safe. It feels like we're just living in this land of horror and mayhem and violence. It just and it's everywhere. It's over the whole world, basically. And if you're an intelligence and you're looking down at us and you're saying, wow, these people are really getting advanced. They're advancing very quickly. I mean, and they have nuclear weapons. I mean, what's going to happen at some point if I think that's the concern. They could be concerned of us somehow. Who knows how advanced we're going to be 100, 200, 300, 500, 600, 1,000 years from now. We might be as advanced as they are. I mean, I don't know. We might be.
Yeah.
Maybe they're afraid of that.
I had a conversation with a nurse at Mayo Clinic yesterday. I had to take my son in for his appointment. And we were talking about her grandmother. Her grandmother is 99 years old, and she remembers the horse and buggy. That's the way of transportation she took. And now look at us. We're exploring, beyond our own planet now. We've already been to the moon, and that was a half a century ago.
Yeah. I mean, and then when you stand outside and you look up at the sky, I mean, anybody with a brain in their head, right, could look outside and look up at the sky and realize the billions and trillions of stars that are staring down back at them. I mean, how could you, if you don't realize what's possible and what is actually, there's just no question that there's life out there, and there's no question that there's life out there that has advanced beyond where we are right now. I mean, just the chances are. Yeah. It's just this universe is too big, and obviously all these people who talk about this subject and experience these things, they're all all these people aren't lying. Of course, there's you could sprinkle in a few liars, a few hoaxers, a few misidentifications. Okay, you filter them out, but then what do you got? There's just too much. There's too much, and yet again, the media goes along with this nonsense. We're playing this game of stupidity, and these aliens are trying to send us a message, obviously. And I don't know if we're getting it. We're not. I don't think we're not. It doesn't seem like we are. I think what they're seeing us, and they look down at us and they look, wow, these people are out of control. Look at these monsters. Look what they do to each other. And what happens if they come after? What happens when they advance another 1,000 years from now? There could be something that they might do at some point to prevent us from bringing our violence beyond this planet. That's my feeling.
I think everybody just needs to take a deep breath and come to the realization that if the rumors are true, that folks have been testifying behind closed doors at Congress, it's done. This is game over, folks. We got to think, what's the next step? Well, we have to be notified by our representatives about what they learned, unless they're unless they're told, hey, due to national security and it's in the best interest not to cause a riot, we're just going to keep the lid on it. I think it was Brichette in Congress talking about people testifying behind closed doors of these legacy programs. They spilt the beans already. People already come forward. I believe that people have come forward. So we're now waiting. And I was telling Rob today about we need to brainstorm about exactly how is this all going to unravel? Because it's going to unravel. I really believe what Lou says. At the end of the day, the truth will come out. Said, I'm not worried about it. It's like today. Was it today or yesterday? I don't know. I'm retired. I'm disabled. So days blend. Okay. But there was a Twitter, people were tweeting from the Sun or some somewhere over there in England, the newspaper was putting out that that Scotland photo that came out. What was the name of that?
I know I've done.
All right, that there was basically an explanation. There's a possible. Don't get discouraged. Like, oh man, do not put all your eggs.
Calvine.
Yeah,
Calvine.
Don't put all your eggs in a basket. I don't know if it's terrestrial or not. It kind of look, you look at the shape of it. It does have the F-111 or whatever, that stealth fighter look to it. Maybe it was something dragged behind. I have no idea what it is. It could be ET. I don't know. But let's just say that the truth comes out. Oh man, it hit me right here because I really wanted it to be real. Me too. But the thing is, maybe there's a more terrestrial explanation to what things are sometimes. And there's some things, it looks like magic. It's the stuff is the technology is there, but to our eyes, it just blows our minds and looks like magic. And that's why we say, hey, this thing just took off. There's an explanation why everything is the way it is. There is no like magic. These entities, they had their own struggles, and I'm looking forward to the day I get to hear about how they progressed as a species and their history and who they met and the lessons they learned. I want that as well. And if they're good at technology, guess what else they're good at? Medical technology. Preston Dennett, how many times has he talked about people being healed with eye issues, lung issues, whatever issues? Boom, they come along and they get a little visit and they're doing a lot better. So obviously they have the technology to make the sick well again. And if any of you guys are up there in those craft watching this video right now, you come pay me a visit. I need some help.
Well, they do have the cure for a lot. I mean, I've seen some of Preston Dennis videos where there was people who said they had cancer and it was cured.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, that's the other thing. We don't even know. I mean, now, of course, there's all different. I hear from different people all the time. Some people think they're up to no good. Some people think they're here to help us. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. I think, and that's the problem with the cover up, because our government, the people have been studying this privately, secretly for all these years. They have to have some idea what's going on. They have to. I mean, with recovered craft and stuff like that, they have to know.
Yeah. When it comes to when I first saw Lou come out, when he was with the Stars, and other folks have come out like Sean Cahill and others, my apologies. I got distracted by my dog again. Can you go outside after this show? Okay, just wait. Okay, so Daddy, I gotta go pee. Nah, you can wait, man. You got a good bladder, man. But anyway, had to do with the early days. Oh, when people like Lou came out. And I totally lost where I was going with this. I was like, maybe I'll get it right before I know what I was talking about. I'll talk to it up to that point, and hopefully I understood what I was thinking. I do apologize. I'm on pain medication. I had some dental work done. I'm on oxycodones, cottons, or something. I don't know. But I unfortunately, I just took one because I was in pain, and I apologize.
That's fine.
And yeah, but you know what? I'm doing everything I can to get healthy. But it had to do with folks in the early days. I think I know what it was. It had to do with people like Lou. Remember what the story was? That it was a threat. You have to identify it. Everything's a threat until you identify it, right? And he made a great an example demonstration. He talked about a unknown submarine popping up in the Potomac, right? And it goes back down, never seen again. Well, I tell you what, if that really happened, people would be losing it, right? So, especially our DOD and our military and the Pentagon and all the way up to the president. We don't know why this happened, but we're going to look into it. Well, guess what? we've had incidents like that, not with submarines, but craft in our airspace where you don't know what it is. Well, you better go figure out what it is really quick. But I have a feeling they've always known.
Yeah. They have always known. Yeah, they always know. They always know. And they know, again, we're just playing a game. And I think I guess here's one part of it. I hope I'm alive to see the disclosure. I want to know more.
I will be too.
Yeah. I want to be around for that. That's part.
I'm telling you, 2023 is going to be a very good year. It's going to be the best year, I believe, since 2017. That was a good time too. Wow, we saw some cool stuff. Some great people came out, started the conversation, and here we are. We're talking about it. You came out because people like Lou Elizondo started this conversation and made it mainstream. It made it okay to talk about it.
Yeah. Well, I guess I'm going to wrap things up here, Shannon. I want to say, thank you very much for coming on the show tonight and talking about this stuff with me. It was a lot of fun, and I really, really appreciate it. And I want to thank all the people that chimed in here with a lot of different comments. Yeah. Vapid Engage, Esmeralda. There's a lot of different people that regular people that show up on my channel, fully focused. Thank you very much for all these people for talking and chatting and for paying attention, and hopefully we're going to get there one of these days. And hopefully that's this year.
It's going to be a good year, brother.
I hope so.
And not only that, early next month, I'm going to have you, and I'll have Shane, and I'll have Rob. We're going to be having a show early next month and go over everything we've been doing. I'm going to be going up to Missouri, deep in the woods of Missouri, and visiting my buddy Rob there for a week. Why a week?
Oh, looks like we lost Shannon again. Well, here he comes back. There he is. Why a week?
What was the last thing you heard me say?
Why a week?
Yes. Why a week? Because my wife said no, not more than a week.
Oh, okay. You would have stayed there a month.
I'll be staying in my camper on a state park, enjoying the sights. Oh, there's an event I'm going to. Rob told me about it. It's you know about that conference, that UFO conference they have in the Ozarks. We got
tickets.
Yeah, well,
passes.
I don't have any of that yet. But I guess I'll be paying full price. But Sean Cahill will be there. I spoke to him and offered him a ride, and he might take it, he might not, but it doesn't matter. We'll be hanging.
Sean Cahill, wow, that's something. Oh, we lost him again. Lost you again, Shannon.
And I'm back, right?
Yep, you're back.
So while I'm there, that event is going on. Rob told me about it. We're going to be going there. And just like Shane reporting from Roswell, Rob and I and hopefully others will join us. And we'll be reporting live from the Ozarks early next month.
Okay, that sounds awesome. All right, everyone. Thanks for joining us tonight. Thanks a lot, Shannon. I appreciate it.
No problem, brother.